mankind is constantly creating amazing new inventions. It's the dawning of the 20th century. America, in the midst of the 19th century. In the Nevada territory, where until recently only a handful of buffalo grazed, nowadays it's all hustle and bustle. Beyond the Sierra and near the Carson River, gold has been found. There's supposed to be loads of it. All you need to do is dig it up. Anyone who keeps at it hard enough will be richly rewarded. What a splendid opportunity. Welcome to uncharted territory, newcomer. Wanna get rich? Then you're in just the right place. Gold rush fever holds sway in Virginia City. And you lucky devil, you've won the mining rights for a promising claim in a poker game at the Red Dog Saloon. Soon, you'll be hauling out gold nuggets as big as a cat's head. Thanks to cleverness and luck at cards, you have a gold mine all your own. The former owner, a gal at the saloon by the name of Susie, who plays a lousy hand of poker, already took care of the groundwork, and a practical woman. She left the necessary equipment behind, too. Now all you have to do is to find the mine. Get an overview, find out where the riches lie. Discover the entrance to the tunnel. What a promising claim. Even though only a few boulders have been mined so far, that's no reason to lose heart. You just have to dig deeper. You ought to get hold of some solid timber from the nearby forest, so that the fine shaft doesn't cave in. The beams will be excellent for stabilizing the tunnel. Build a station where the horse carts can be packed with logs. Explain to the sort of thick-skulled driver which route he should take. Now, there's got to be a small depot to park the horse-drawn carts, too. Everything's all set. Now, all you have to do is to get hold of a cart to transport the wood. A sturdy vehicle. Transport, get started. It won't be long before it's possible to dig deeper. Well then, good luck. Not everything that glitters is gold. Maybe your poker partner was sharper than you thought. Despite all the hardship, the mine only brings in a few chunks of silver ore. At best, you ought to get rid of it before it ruins you. Luckily, new greenhorns constantly get stranded in Virginia City, who you can peddle that confounded pit to for good money. So, you got rid of the silver mine for a decent amount. Time to invest this money in a lucrative venture. And there's an excellent opportunity. All the ore from the mine must be transported to the silver mills down by the river. A railroad that takes over the transport would be a promising venture. The terrain is treacherous, requires a few very twisted curves. Build a railroad route that rapidly transports all the ore to the valley. A respectable railroad calls for a proper railroad yard. Truly well done structure. Now it just needs to be connected. It's high time to buy a beautiful locomotive together with a few freight cars. What a handsome iron horse. Time to send it on its maiden journey.
Hello? Why can I not? Hold on. Is that me? No, that is you. Okay.
Let's have a big round of applause. Hooray! There's no end to the rejoicing. All thanks to you.
I just realized nobody can hear me.
Yeah, I was saying, it's
This
just
whole
me,
time.
I just couldn't hear you.
I was
On
saying
the
hello, I was talking to the stream, everything was fine. Nobody
Well, kill my
could
healthy
hear.
point out.
Yes, thank you for that.
Ruin their good shoes on the muddy streets. Find out about the needs of your future passengers. Your services are needed to the same degree everywhere in town.
So what you doing?
I'm playing Transport Fever 2 some more
Make
because
sure your
of course I
progress
am.
Don't miss any stops.
On brand?
That's what I do. That is. What are you doing
Well, I
Other
was
than
writing, and then I saw you were in here.
other than hating your job all of a sudden?
Build a deeper
Writing.
courses to
Also,
be
it is not all of a sudden, it's been for a while, Listen, everybody's been kind of going through it, and I was like, I'm not gonna make it more.
I mean, you mentioned it briefly like a couple weeks ago, but you didn't really go into detail. I thought it was just a temporary thing.
No, it's them literally giving me like 5 people's jobs, like legitimately 5 people's jobs. People quit, and they were like, she can just do it. And then being like, but we're not gonna pay you to do 5 people's jobs, and then we're gonna constantly get on you for not doing their jobs fast enough. like, dude.
I see why you're irritated now.
Yeah, I'm kind of running our Discord and our social media platforms and our data analysis, and I'm micromanaging half of the other teams to make sure that those platforms are fine.
Well, without you, this company would fall apart.
I don't think it would fall apart, but the social side would. Really.
A village is up to no good in the area. According to eyewitnesses,
It's whatever. I'm looking at
tree was at
figure
least
it
10
out.
feet tall. The report
I'm not in a huge rush because, you know, like, it does kind of pay my bills, but
an old good-for-nothing by the name of
I'm not gonna
Sam
stay somewhere that makes me miserable, you know?
supposed to be in the saloon in Virginia City. Could be it means buying him a couple of shots of hard liquor.
Also, I've realized that I've really been posting stuff on Discord recently. That's been pretty depressing. I apologize for that.
It's fine. It's all good. I don't mind. I don't know about everybody else, but I don't mind.
Not too long ago.
Yeah, I've been trying not to do that anymore, but I think the past week has just gotten to me in a way that I haven't been bothered in a while.
Locals even call it the miracle of Carson City.
Also, can we just talk about this quiet quitting thing on Twitter? That's just doing your job. Guys,
Be the hottest item in town. Make sure that
have you seen the quiet quitting phenomenon?
Carson
The
City
what?
is veritable.
People are basically like, there's been a rising surge in people coming in doing exactly the job description and the bare minimum. We're calling it quiet quitting, and it's like, dude, it's just not doing extra for a corporation that won't pay you overtime. That's not quitting. That's just doing your 9 to 5.
Quiet quitting? Who calls it that?
like all of the big like news publications and a bunch of people on Twitter are now adopting the term and having whole threads, like a thread on why quiet quitting is a serious issue and corporations need to take it more seriously. I'm like, oh my god, guys.
I'm sorry.
It's just called doing your 9 to 5. It's just called doing the bare minimum. Like,
I'm sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry. Wait, are we just see again, I used to be a manager. Are we just rephrasing laziness? Cuz like I've dealt I've dealt with people that just come in and do exactly what they have to do, the bare minimum, and that's it.
It's not even just that, because they're also conflating it with people who like refuse to work 10 hours of unpaid overtime a week and aren't like doing 5 other people's jobs.
They won't work 10 hours of unpaid overtime? Why?
Yeah, and they're conflating this to like quiet quitting. People who used to do this are no longer doing this due to unfair wages and stuff. The epidemic of no longer working. It's like, dude, they're just like not doing free labor anymore. It's not that big of a deal. If you want them to do extra work, just pay them. Like, I don't understand.
Part of the issue that they don't seem to comprehend is that, well, yeah, okay, there are the types of people that want to work and that work really hard. But even for that person, it's very hard to work in a situation where you don't feel appreciated. You know, like, you could be, in your heart, the hardest worker imaginable, but if you have no pride in what you're doing, then you're not going to work that hard. It's just human nature. Why would you? Quiet quitting.
That's why I'm so confused. Quiet quit.
Shh! Don't tell anybody! It's a secret! Like, they're obviously not quitting if they're still there, being paid, and they're just doing the bare minimum. Yeah, they're doing what you pay them to do. If you want people to work harder and do more, you have to pay them a fair wage. That to me,
like, period.
Like,
watch out that you don't cross paths with the cart rats from the... You barely got away from the cart rat boys.
It's kind of giving me the vibe of like people who are against the unions being like, you don't understand that we work better when we're not divided, but we're together. And if you go into a union, that means that you're going directly against the leadership of this company and your refusal to cooperate. It's like, no, that's not how unions function. Good dear God.
Now, okay, first of all, I agree with you. That's not how unions work. I don't care for unions myself, but I understand.
You don't care for unions. It's just
but I understand the need for them in some situations, and like you're going against us. Well, if you're not treating your workers fairly, yeah, the unions speak that's the whole point. A union, like in its purest form, a union is just the workers coming together and being like, we're not dealing with this crap anymore until you treat us fairly. That's it.
Listen, the way I see it is that HR at companies are like the company's union, like the higher ups.
They are.
And like the workers have their own union. Congratulations, you're just mad that you have to deal with HR now. Like,
I mean, HR varies from company to company. Some do also look after the workers too. But again, it's so variable because companies and unions and all of this are just people. And people screw up, and people can be corrupt, and people can also be very good. It just depends. But
the reason why I'm frustrated about this take is because this take comes from people. This take comes from Activision Blizzard leadership trying to guilt people into not going into a union, and I'm like, my brother in Christ, you literally I have investigated myself, and I am clear. Of course they're gonna unionize.
Oh, this guy. Okay, this person's name is.
Yeah, I saw that message and I didn't know how to respond.
I'm his favorite American, though.
Congratulations.
I don't know what that could either be very good or very bad, depending on how we look at it.
You'll get a medal and everything.
I will not, actually. That won't happen, but it's a nice thought. But yeah, like, you know, there's a... the video, like, actually, it's funny you bring up unions now, because I got a video going live on Thursday that one of the issues was the union in this, for the reason why this company went under. But the reason was, so, the union, this is Penn Central, which is a railroad company that lasted 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
The union demanded a whole bunch of things. And the dude in charge of negotiating, I stress, negotiating the terms, just gave them what they wanted. Now, to Twitter, that sounds great. But this...
is a real world, that's stupid.
This is what... the company's costs ballooned out of control because they couldn't afford half of what he gave them. Like, the Penn Central was a result of a merger. And mergers usually result in layoffs. It's just one of those things. So, one of the terms was keeping all employees, period. And giving us
the only thing they're allowed.
and giving a very generous severance package to anyone who was fired, which seems rather silly. Because I feel like that should vary depending on why they were fired. Like, you know, a layoff situation, I'll take that. A severance package in a layoff situation, I think that's fair. But in a situation where this person beat up his boss, he doesn't get paid for that. And they also wanted 10,000 more employees who were fired previously to be rehired, on top of keeping everyone else they still had.
So what you're telling me is that they negotiated all of this got approved, and I say negotiate very loosely. Everything got approved, and then let me guess, they got approved, and congratulations, you got hired back for another 6 months. Oh no, we're bankrupt.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's the other side of the coin where people are like, unions are great, you know, companies need to pay us more. Okay, that's true. Also, companies do not have infinite money. There is a situation that will happen where a company might not be able to afford what you want.
It also might be really funny because the union could have been like, we're gonna like whenever you go into like a debate or you go into like a bargaining situation, you always bid higher than what you expect, so you could work your way down to what you actually want.
Yeah, and the dude he had no spine. He's just like, oh, okay, we'll do that.
They probably walked in having all these options, expecting them to be like, well, we can't do this, this, and this, and this, but we'll take this option to do this. And then he was like, yeah, sure, man, why not?
Yeah, I mean, one out of the three, like, I could take the severance packages or maybe keeping the employees. They might have been able to weasel that. But all three of them? What?
They probably went in expecting a bunch of them to be shot down, but you have to come in with a full plate in a negotiation to kind of figure out a middle ground. So they probably were surprised too that they just got everything approved and was like, you guys have the money for this? And the guy was probably like, yeah! Then he looked at his books and was like, no!
Yeah, it wasn't like the union, you know, the unions were new for this. I mean, you're probably right, because those railroad unions have been in place for decades. So they knew what they were doing. So, I'm now that you mention that, I'm sure they may have been utterly shocked they got everything they asked for. Which is funny because they wound up having no jobs by the end of it, because...
But hey, if you get fired for any reason, severance!
They didn't have any money, Addie! There aren't going to be severance packages if the company doesn't make a profit. This is basic economics. And it's one of those, there has to be a middle ground between the two sides.
I don't know, man, just go to the bank. More money. Take a small loan of $1 million. Somebody said I prefer the PRR, by the way, not the Penn Central. I don't know what that means, but I figured you might.
Pennsylvania Railroad compared to Penn Central. Pennsylvania Railroad was one of the railroads that merged to become Penn Central. The other one was New York Central. And I'm sure you do, because Penn Central was a disaster, and Pennsylvania Railroad managed themselves fairly well. They made mistakes too, but they were in a You know, both them and New York Central were much better off before they merged. Like,
Yeah,
the merger
right.
the merger absolutely trashed both of them.
I just, you know, I've never really thought about trains all that much before you started talking about them. But it kind of always makes me think now, where it's like I'm looking to like go to different places for like conventions, and I pause and I'm like, I wonder if there's a train there.
It really, right now, I've talked about this many times, it's really the better way to travel. Compared to the other options. Gas is too expensive, cars are annoying to travel long distances. I don't know about you, I don't like being in a car longer than 2 hours tops. Anything beyond that, I want to scream. Also, you
I
can't...
get car sickness.
Yeah, that
so-
too. Planes are really expensive, and like on paper they're faster, right? But if you factor in having to get there early, having to go through security, wait at the gates, possibly connections and stuff, no, it's really not faster. Amtrak.
It's funny because taking a plane to I took a plane to Dallas for a business trip thing, and it was like I think I didn't have to pay it. It was like my job because it was work. But it was like $250 from San Antonio to Dallas, right? And I looked up Amtrak, like the train, like just out of curiosity, and yeah, it would take 5 hours, not one. $50.
Yeah, it's very affordable too.
I
You know,
was like, that's faster than me ordering an Uber.
and like I said, when you factor in getting to the gate and you know, frickin' security and all that, when you take a train, you go to the platform, the train shows up, you get on the train, you go. There's no there's no annoyances here, and it's $50, like you said, and that could be a lot faster if we invested in more high-speed trains. The Northeast Corridor, I can go to New York from where I am in an hour and a half.
Or not far. That's not fast. I mean,
What's that?
I said that's fast.
I mean, by car it's about 6 hours, so yeah.
I'm just like, here's the thing. I'm a person who likes traveling either by foot or public transport. And for some reason, even me, you know, who lived in New York and took subways and like trains everywhere whenever I was going around near New Yorkish area. When I moved to Texas, I was like, there's no trains here. Like, how could there be trains? And then I looked it up and there's actually trains here. And I'm like, when the heck did this happen?
According to a Texan local that follows me, he's brought this up actually last stream, Texas, and this shocks the crap out of me because y'all are so Republican down there. And by y'all, I mean everybody but you.
Thank you for the clarification.
They are actually working on a high-speed rail line down there.
I didn't know that.
I was utterly amazed that they would actually think that was a good idea, which it is, but I just didn't expect it from them. But apparently it's something they're actually working on, and that, like, if we actually invested in this kind of infrastructure, and the weird part is, it's not even a matter of infrastructure, a lot of it's there. The stations, for one, the vast majority of major cities in America still have their train stations fully intact the way they were in the 1950s. The tracks are there. Yeah, we gotta use them again. And frankly, with the way fuel costs, we may have to. It's just
honestly, it's just sad because I as a person, as you mentioned, dragged here against my will and definitely not a Republican.
You're trapped.
I love transporting not by car. Like, I don't have a car. I don't have a license. I'm working on those things.
Go
but
back
I don't
to
have
Nicaragua.
one right now. And I would.
It's any country but Puerto Rico, and you know that.
No.
And even then, it's wrong. You're not even from there.
It's just so sad because I'm like, I would love public transport to be a thing. Like, I see people talking about like visiting Japan and being like, wow, it's really nice that I could like walk around and get to places without having to get on any public transport. And if I do get on public transport, it's really good. And it's like, that's great. In order to go to the nearby grocery store, I have to walk 45 minutes just one way.
Japan's rail system is not to be questioned. Their issues are more in line with their treatment of workers rather than their actual efficiency. Their efficiency is amazing. For the public, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
They're like, you think like you can't unionize in Japan.
Oh, absolutely not. It's so funny when people come to me and they're like, I want to move to South Korea. I feel like my life would be so much better. And I sit there and I'm like,
you fool.
I want you to understand that if you are not Korean, that is a questionable decision.
I mean, that's another issue too. There's a strong.
If you don't speak Korean, that is also a very questionable decision. Just don't move to countries that you don't understand the language or the people or the culture.
The problem is, especially with a lot of Asian countries, we think we understand them because we're experiencing their multimedia. With Japan, it was the anime boom, and then J-pop, but now it's K-pop. And it's like, oh my god, I love these countries, their music's great, and I'm like, that's really sweet.
You see, like, 1/15 of the country. Like, I am a person who, like, I like looking at, like, history stuff. I like looking at history stuff of countries that is not my own country for some reason. I guess it's just sort of, like, I will literally sit on a Wikipedia page and then jump between, like, 15 pages for, like, 8 hours, because I just, like, feel like it. Now, don't play.
Now maybe,
other countries.
maybe it's just me, and this is just my thing with South Korea and to a lesser degree Japan. Are y'all sure you want to live in a country that's bordered
Borders?
with a notably unstable country that also possesses nuclear missiles? I don't know about you, but I personally am quite comfortable here on the basis that I trust Canada and Mexico not to be completely nuts with their weapons.
Like, I want to visit a lot of those countries. Like, I want to visit, like, South Korea maybe for, like, a couple days. I want to, like, visit Japan. But I definitely don't want to be there for any long period of time. I feel like that would be a bad idea. Seeing a lot of people go visit it once because they're, like, content creators, and then being like, I'm moving to Japan, guys. And it's just like, oh, honey, you got a storm coming.
I mean, like, I have a friend who lives in Japan. She's from California, and like, she's fine out there. She's in.
I'm sure it works out for some people, but a lot of people do it very impulsively.
Oh yeah, when she prepared for it for years, and she's a smart cookie. So I'm in no way surprised that she can handle it. But like, I watch anime. I therefore know everything about Japan. Konnichiwa, desu desu, and that's not true.
It's like, wow, you understand. That's like going to America and you're from you're from Japan. You come to America and like your only impression of how the whole entire culture is like you like the Met. Or our football teams or something.
Do they?
No, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. Like, it's the first thing you said. I'm just like, interesting.
I don't know much about sports. I just know that people don't like the Mets.
Oh, you said Mets.
The Mets.
I thought you said men.
Oh.
Never mind.
I remember one time my dad was like convinced that like I needed to know the American feeling of like football, and so I kept calling it everything except for a home run. I'd be like, whoa, that's a really cool touch. And he'd be like, okay, you got it right. And I'm like, okay, that was a really nice basket. And he's just like, that is not right. And I'm like, wow, hole in one. And he's like, what are you doing? And like, I remember the whole entire Super Bowl one year, I just said everything except for the word touchdown. And that was probably the most fun I've ever had with football.
Yeah, I don't do sports either. Like, I understand them, but I don't, like, no. It's not my thing. Some people are really invested. And that's okay, but...
enjoying and being invested into, like, sports, and that's cool or whatever. But I enjoy my sports into being, like, you know, peak body physique, you know? Like the League of Legends of the world. The Valorant game changers, you know? Like the real stuff. I hope you know I'm being sarcastic.
I know, I was thinking that, and I'm like, she's just messing, isn't she?
I like esports, but I still find it funny. Every year, the League of Legends releases a sport. It's like, are you gonna live or are you gonna die? Are you gonna rise up to glory? And it's like, man missed Flash because he was sneezing and cleaning his glasses. It's not like esports is fun. League of Legends is fun. Valorant is fun. But like they're acting as if this is like a medieval like jousting tournament. It's like, man, you're playing League. You're not playing League of Legends. You're playing like Mahjong, man. It's not like it's okay. You don't have to go that hard in the music video. I mean, the song's a banger. I'm not gonna lie. It's just funny when you watch the music video. So like. It makes League look way cooler than it actually is.
Meant to win till you die. It's like, you guys know this is a video game, right? Like I don't mind that esports are taken somewhat seriously now. Like, I think that's good. You know, people complained about it at the time. Like, even other gamers were like, "It's not a sport. Why are you calling it that?" It's like, yeah, but this makes gaming seem. Like, this can only help the industry, actually.
I also think it's really funny that people say that, and it's like, you're adding this arbitrary line of, like, you're not going to the gym and working out, and I'm sitting here like, are y'all pretending that chess hasn't been, like, a recognized sport for, like, years? It's literally people moving chess on a board.
I mean, the part of the reason League is so good as an esport is that it's strategy-based.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like, people are acting as if esports is not sport, but like chess exists. Like clearly, there's not just a requirement of it being a physical thing. Hi, Kane.
If you don't play competitive Kingdom Hearts, are you?
Yeah. I love how you say this, but I actually used to know like 90% of the speedrunners in the community, and they're all awful, by the way.
Oh, okay.
But unfortunately, I was involved in competitive Kingdom Hearts. Unwillingly!
I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't consider that competitive Kingdom Hearts.
Running races is kind of competitive, and that's the only competitive you could really get in that game, considering it's a single-player RPG.
Soon it won't be.
Oh, I'm so excited for that new mobile game, dude. It's gonna be great. I'm not.
Oh no, I'm excited for the multiplayer mod for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, that was weird. That makes sense. Yes, I'm excited.
Yeah, the thing that'll actually be fun with Kingdom Hearts multiplayer.
Will it?
Because it's the one thing that actually understands what people want out of a multiplayer Kingdom Hearts game.
Well, it is gonna be good, Josh, because it's being made as a mod, so like, where it can't possibly mess.
Well, wow, guys, it's almost like when people request a multiplayer game of an action game, they want a multiplayer action game. Shocker.
Kate, I don't know why you're so upset. The new mobile game's gonna come out and it's gonna be great. It's gonna really take off. Also, it's cloud-based.
And it has NFTs.
And it has NFTs.
Because the last time they did a cloud-based port of Kingdom Hearts, it went so swimmingly for them.
I still think it's funny that people were really upset about that, because I understand what they were going for. Like, I think a lot of people forget that, like, one, they released it first in Japan for a reason. Two, it was made at all because, you know, compared to the US, Japan's infrastructure is actually a lot better than ours.
When it comes to internet, yes.
So, like, of course it's gonna be probably, like, every time you look up, like, Japanese reviews of the cloud ports, nobody has any issues with them. It's just us.
It is just us. It is
And like,
absolutely.
Blizzard pointed out a good point to me when I was talking to him about it. He pays for GeForce Now, and it actually is really good, even though his internet is not great. Like, it works almost flawlessly, even when he's using the internet off of his, like, hotspot on his phone. And I argue that NVIDIA has put in a ridiculous amount of money in their cloud infrastructure that Japan doesn't have to do because their infrastructure is great from the get-go. Out of the world. You don't have to set up extra infrastructure on a per company basis to have decent cloud service. It's just the normal over there.
That's also why Dissidia works just fine over there.
Another complete train is needed.
I don't know anything about cities.
Dissidia's netcode is peer-to-peer based.
Oh, okay.
That's why it didn't take off over here. At least part of the reason. Because
It's so sad.
because the PvP scene was fucking impossible. It took too long to find anybody.
Speaking of Final Fantasy and coding and how they handle internet stuff, it still baffles me that people people see Final Fantasy XIV and all the state in server issues due to max capacity during the Endwalker launch, and was like, why don't you guys just go to Amazon's cloud service? And I'm like, this game was made in like 2012. Do you think their code was built to be on a cloud server? Do you think that's something that they could just click their heels and do? This game breaks if you sneeze on it too hard.
What game we talk about?
Final Fantasy XIV.
And
Okay,
they wanted it
I'm
to...
gonna make a small correction. It's not much of one, but
but it is a correction, and he's gonna make it.
you are 1 year off. 2013, specifically for the A Realm Reborn release. Which
No, I'm talking about the original one because Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn is literally built off of the skeleton and bones of the original game, including a lot of legacy code from the original.
The Twisted Corpse.
They had to make A Realm Reborn in like a year and a half.
Yeah.
That's all the time they had. So they literally reused models, they reused code, they reused like scripts as much as physically possible, while also changing all of the issues that people had with the game originally.
To be fair, the original FF14 was basically an alpha, so I can see why they could easily build off of it.
Yeah, it's just like the game had a lot of server issues. Like they decided to make the UI server based. So if you tried to like open a menu, that was a server tick. That was not a client thing.
I also have a side funny note that I was actually considering buying, but since we're on the topic of FF MMOs, I found a physical holographic copy of Final Fantasy XI for the 360, and it had like the map and the manual and everything, and it was like $10, and I'm like, I'm so tempted to just buy you. You're so cool.
Where, like from your physical store that you go to a lot?
Yeah.
If you do decide to go back there and it's there, I will literally send you money to buy it.
I mean, it's for 360. It's not like...
I've been wanting to collect the Final Fantasy games.
Understandable.
I have like
But yeah,
7 of them or 8 of them. I would like to collect more. I have a few collector's editions too. I have the collector's edition of 15.
Yeah. But it was so cool. I'm like, you can't even be played. It's just cool that you're here.
Which, fun fact, I actually got the Final Fantasy 15 collector's edition for free.
Nice. I remember that.
I had a friend who bought it. She bought it for like $250, the collector's edition full pack thing. Played the game for like 4 hours. Realized that she hated it. And I was mentioning that I couldn't afford the game in like a server once, and literally DM'd me and goes, I will literally send you this copy because I just don't want it. A week later, I get the collector's edition of Final Fantasy 15 in the steelbook and Kingsglaive just sent to my door.
Nice. But yeah, that was pretty much about my experience with FF15, just minus the collector's edition part. I tried so hard, but didn't get so far. And in the end, yeah, it didn't matter. And thus, my super clever joke has been ignored.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I got distracted.
I'm not sorry at all.
But yeah, no, I was just mentioning that the netcode thing. It's just funny to think about because people legitimately saw the issues of the Endwalker launch. There was an error where 17,000 people would get into queue, right? And the game would try to refresh to like, it would refresh every 100 people that entered the game, right? And like your number would tick down by 100 because it'll let people in increments of 50 or 100 at a time. They kind of sort of had legacy coded it from 1.0 where if you were anything higher than 17,000 in the queue, you got kicked out of it because it didn't function with over 17,000 people. Like there couldn't be more than 17,000 people in the queue at a time. So if you were in the queue, bye. You're gonna eat it. Goodbye. We don't want you.
And you know, I will say this.
We didn't want you to play our game anyway.
Yeah.
Do you want to know a really, really good way to stop that from happening?
What?
Make more games that let you set up your own servers.
Hey, that is not a solution for an MMO like this.
No, it's not, but it's a solution for other games.
It is for other games, but in this specific situation, that would not have happened. That would have not.
I mean, it would work, but the Square wouldn't like it.
It also wouldn't work because an MMORPG where everybody's on their own private server just wouldn't function at the end of that well.
I'm not saying that each individual player would make their own private server. I mean, it's not gonna.
Are you going like serverless Rust style kind of idea?
I guess. I don't know. I'm going with the idea that if one is full, people set up another to start filling up.
The Square already has that system. There's worlds and there's data centers.
The other problem with a private server, Kane, is that like each server in an MMO usually has hundreds of people.
I'm aware.
If 100 people tried to link to my PC, I don't think that would go well.
And don't run it. If you don't have the hardware for it, don't run it. I'm not saying that individual people.
You're saying stuff on a Minecraft server paying for a server to host your instance. I don't know what you're saying.
I am saying people who are capable of hosting a big server like that, if it goes up, then they could host a temporary server or something like that that people can play on, and then when everything's back and fine, you can just go back to the normal one.
Also,
it's a very dangerous idea for security reasons because you're essentially you're giving people the ability to host a server on official like official capacity sort of where people a lot of anti-cheat is built into server-side checks.
Hi, I would like to point out that this entire thing has never been of the idea of it being a private server. It's only ever been in the idea of some kind of official means.
I just don't think that would work in any way possible.
I don't think it could work any worse than what's going on.
I genuinely think it would work worse.
The issue currently, honestly, is just the fact the game got really freaking popular way too quickly for them. That's
so they need to take the time to get those servers, but I don't think having the community pull together to create a server on an official capacity would work. I just don't think it would function well at all. There's way too many issues with that. I'd rather just wait for Square to like buy more servers.
Also, don't MMOs lock you into a server usually?
Yeah, like you're in like a in Final Fantasy XIV's case, yes, you are in a server. You are able to world travel and to data center travel to visit other worlds and play on them.
Okay, maybe that's a dated view. I haven't played an MMO in a while.
But your character is still associated with your main server. Like you could only have a house on your server. You can only have an apartment on your server. You can only post on the market board on your world on your server. But you could visit other places and hang out with people if you want. You just can't you don't have anything attached to your character specifically there. Like, you can't check your bank and retainers. You can't set up like ventures or anything. You can't, like I said, you can't go to your own house. You can't go to your apartment. Certain small things are locked, but for the most part, 90% of the game is fine if you decide to data travel to somewhere else. They just added data travel, like, literally this patch. This is not something that is old. This is something that is literally brand new.
I don't feel like it's that new. I thought unless I was just traveling, unless I was just fucking traveling between, like, session servers on the US data center.
Yeah, so think about it this way. There's 3 US data centers. There's Aether, Crystal, and the third one that's a stepchild and nobody talks about. I don't remember the name. So those are the 2 I know because they're both popular. Sorry. And under those data centers is what we call them, Aether and Crystal. There are individual world servers. Think of it like realms in WoW.
I'm well aware of how it works.
Yeah, so world travel has existed for a while, which is like if you are on Crystal data center, I am on Crystal data center, but we are on different worlds on the Crystal data center. I could visit you, you could visit me. We can't visit somewhere on Aether, which is the other data center. They just added it that you can now go and travel to Aether and visit any of the worlds on another server as long as you're in the same region. So as long as you're going from one North American data center to another North American data center, you can. You can't go to the Japanese data center, for example. That won't work.
Ooh.
Sorry.
Yes!
I actually didn't.
I said I don't know if that's new or not, and then I explained it.
No, I said that I thought I did that, but I could have just been traveling to, like, smaller servers in the same thing. That's all I said.
Alright, I'll shut the fuck up. Okay.
Lately I have been able to tell if you 2 are arguing or not.
Good question.
I don't even really know what happened just now. I just got frustrated because I kept getting interrupted.
That's fair.
Point is, FF14 is way bigger than they ever thought it would be, and they needed to get more servers, which they didn't expect. And, you know, hey, Square, just to throw it out there for you, you kind of created one of the best modern MMORPGs on the market. Like,
To be fair, it did start out as one of the worst.
yeah, but it went huge.
Helped that WoW killed itself.
Oh yeah, WoW, WoW dying. Ow.
WoW gutting itself was a blessing for FF14.
That, as well as the fact that I just think that the game's story as the expansions went on was so amazingly in-depth that everyone got on board with it. Like, you know, Addie, you keep telling me that everything past base game is incredible.
A Realm Reborn is really good, I think, still as its own experience. I do think that it is reliant. Your enjoyment on A Realm Reborn it hinges on your enjoyment of world building.
Yeah.
And so some people are not into that, but the world building will then pay off. It's really great stuff later. If you like world building, you're gonna like that, and you're gonna like the later stuff. Some people just don't like the world building stuff as much. I'm one of those people.
Exactly.
But I think that all the other expansions afterwards is well worth it. Also, don't take my opinion as 1000% fact, because I apparently am very sacrilegious, because I think that Heaven Sword is not as good as Stormblood, and half the community wants to murder me over it.
That's so unfair, guys.
I like Guild Wars 2.
I also
The
like
problem
Guild
with-
Wars too.
I tried. I gave it a fair shot.
You
I don't know
didn't
what it
try
is about
hard
it.
enough.
I've tried it like 7 times.
It is
I
the
don't fucking do
apex
that.
of MMOs.
I have downloaded that so many times. I downloaded that more than I have basically any other game. I've tried it. I had tried so hard to like stall myself into liking that game. I'm sorry, I can't.
Hey, Addy, it's okay. I've got a better alternative for you to play instead of Guild Wars 2.
I know, I have the perfect one too. It's the new World of Warcraft expansion. I'm so excited for it, you know?
Well, I mean, I was gonna say WildStar.
It's the dawning of
Nice.
the 20th century.
The heck is WildStar?
You never heard of WildStar?
I know
Oh my God.
nothing of what you guys are talking about, but it sounds...
Like,
Apparently it's hilarious.
So like in 2014, WildStar, I think it was 2014. I could be wrong about the times. I'm probably wrong about the date. And a new MMO was announced. Huh? Huh?
You're not far off.
Okay, cool. It was
2014.
It was 2014.
Yep.
Oh, I was right. Yeah. Okay. So WildStar was an MMO that they created by a bunch of. It was every single person or almost every person on the team were like Warcraft vanilla veteran. Like they were the developers of vanilla Minecraft, not Minecraft. World of Warcraft. they're creators of vanilla World of Warcraft. And
Same energy, I guess.
Yeah, same energy. They created WildStar, which is like this third-person sort of action MMO with like the main gimmick being that like when you use any ability, you have like an AOE cone in front of you depending on the ability. You have to aim everything, and every enemy telegraphs every attack against you. And so it was really hyped because they were like, we want to bring back the core of vanilla WoW. We want to hard raids, hard dungeons, you have to grind, like blah 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 blah. And then they
This game is about getting good.
And then they realized, oh no, the main reason why WildStar failed is because you can't cater to the very, very tiny minority of people that are gonna hardcore a game. Like, it's just not feasible. On top of that, they kind of like were so busy making the grind to 60 that when you got to 60, there was like nothing to do. There was like one raid. That was, I think it was like, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong. They decided to do the bold idea of like, what was it, like a 40 or like 60 person raid or something stupid. Because they wanted the old feel, and it just didn't work. Because how many times are you gonna find 40 people to all sync up the schedule? You could barely get 5 people to show up to D&D a week. Like, come on.
Yeah.
There's a reason why WoW has cut down, and it used to be 40, and then it went to 25, and then they added Flex, and now they basically are getting rid of I think they're getting rid of 25 man now? Because it's just unfeasible to get that many people together. And, like, substantially... Unless these people are being, like, paid to play your video game. It's just impossible.
WoW's never gonna have the numbers it once had.
Not only that, but the problem with WoW, too, is that WoW, playing it at any competitive level, there's a genuine problem where in order to actually play WoW competitively and, like, do world-first runs at competitions, every world-first guild does RMT. Every single one of them. Every single person. Because it's impossible to get the supplies to do it otherwise.
Kane, what's RMT?
Real money trading. It's when people spend real money for golden game. Or they spend real money to get, like, carries, or you spend real money to get, like...
Oh, disgusting.
But, like, RMT is,
Wait. Kane wants to talk.
I didn't hear you.
That's fine. Can I also just point out the most depressing part of why WildStar definitely would have failed in that regard? Came out in 2014. Hey guys, I hate to break it to you, but both FF14 A Realm Reborn and Guild Wars 2 were out to the public. I don't know what you expected, but good job.
In defense of WildStar, Final Fantasy XIV didn't, like, it had a stable but quiet fan base. It didn't really blow up until, like, end of Heavensward, and I hesitate to even say that because it was really Shadowbringers that blew it up violent popularity. Yeah. Like, it was not a very, like, it was a good MMO, But I remember when it first came out, as a person who was trying a bunch of MMOs, I just wasn't interested in it at the time. I didn't even play it.
Yeah,
And
understandable.
I heard about it. I played WildStar before I played Final Fantasy XIV, and I'm a Final Fantasy fan.
Can I interest anyone in a rip-roaring game of Digimon Online?
No. I watched a video about that recently. Absolutely not.
I know, it's cancer.
I still have gone back and just looked at some of the weirder MMOs that I've played, and I'm just like, oh my god, I strangely miss these. MMOs are the worst kind of lost media right alongside mobile games, because there's nothing you can do to keep them alive.
Hey, fascist son.
I'm still waiting. I'm sitting there waiting for Free Realm Sunrise to finish development. I'm so excited for it.
I really would like to see some kind of WildStar 2.0 at some point. 'Cause I think that maybe it could do better if they brought it back and modernized it. I really like the look of the world. I think it looks awesome.
What game? I'm sorry, I scrolled for like.
WildStar.
He likes the art direction of WildStar, which,
Yeah,
I mean...
WildStar looks great. It looked great. Like I told you, I played WildStar. Like, it looked great, and I was really excited for it. And then the game was bad. It's like, oh.
I don't even think the game was bad. It was just really poorly mismanaged and didn't have enough content at the end of the day. Like the core.
But the problem was the whole. Sorry.
The core concepts were pretty solid from most of the people that I hear talk about it and make videos. Like they still absolutely critique what is necessary to critique. They're not blinded by the game or anything. Like most people thought the game was relatively solid and just needed another fine-tooth comb to fix the things that were going wrong.
Well, a lot of it was solid. The problem was, like, the gameplay was solid. Like, the actual mechanics and gameplay was solid. I agree. I also think that I never got to the endgame raids, but I heard the endgame raid was really good. The problem being is that the whole game was fundamentally created to be a grindfest 60. And that showed in the level design. Not level design. That showed in, like, the story design. It showed in the quest design. It showed in the repetitiveness of, like, the classic old MMO of, like, kill 3 boars, and then you hit 3 plants, and then you bring 3 boxes, and then you kill 4 boars, and then you bring 3 flies, and then you kill 4 spiders, so you get the venom, and then you bring it back, and then they go, oh, I need you to go, kill some fish, because we need some fish. And it was that. It was just that the whole time. And, like, so when I say, like, it was bad, I mean, like, it wasn't fun.
Hello, adventurer! Can you bring me these flowers?
Yes. Basically. The whole game was that. And, like, I dropped it up to level, like, 20, because I was just like, this is just the same thing. And I'm just gonna grind to 60 to, like, get to a raid, and then wait until something showed up. Like, it wasn't fun.
I agree with you, but that's what I mean by I think the game was ultimately mismanaged in that way. If they were to make a WildStar 2.0 and fix that grind and put most of that grinding in for like end game content or something and adding more raids and stuff, it would be fine. Like you would just have to rebalance a few things here and there to get the majority of the problems settled.
Hello, adventurer!
You have a good game under the hood. Don't freaking squander it.
I think they're going to.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's dead. It died in 2017. It lasted
okay.
3 years. Yeah, it lasted 3 years and then it died.
Sad.
The first year was the worst because it was the launch year where there was a lot of like bugs and crashes too for a lot of people, and they just couldn't get off the ground. They went free to play at like the very end of the game's life cycle, and it just didn't work out for them.
That Hail Mary play, huh?
They didn't even, because do you know what was worse about that? They didn't even do the free to play model very well.
Of course not.
Like, that was the other problem.
Every ship needs a harbor. Your venture needs a particular.
Like, I feel like if that game came back, it would make a decent comeback if they just rebalanced it. I think you could at least have a stable, a small stable community going for it.
It sounds like a case of, like, you have a bunch of talented programmers, but not necessarily a bunch of talented game designers.
The game was technically very good. Like, I don't think I ran into many bugs at all when I was playing it. And the many times I tried it. Like, it was technically pretty well put together. So I will say that that's probably what happened. Also, this is kind of a... Sorry.
It's not necessarily a lack of talent, it's a lack of organization, I would say. Because, like, the game, like, up to 20, it was generally okay-ish, right, Addie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, like, just keep that. do that, but make it better. Just reorganize a few things. Take away a lot of the grind, because grinding is annoying. And then just, there you go. You have fixed the most major issues about that. Also, I feel like it was weird too, because is it just me, or did WildStar's marketing campaign just suck?
Well, I've never heard of it. So, possibly!
I have talked with 2 people today that have not heard of WildStar.
Who was the other one?
Huh?
Who was the other one?
One of my friends from another server.
I was terrified it was Ted. I'm like, oh no. That doesn't really say anything, though.
I mean, I'm positive he's...
I'm sure he's never heard of it either, to be fair. Though now we say that, and we ask him later, and he's like, oh yeah, I heard of that game.
It's funny because I was a part of, like, the WoW forums for a long time. And so the only thing that people would ever talk about is like, oh my gosh, guys, look at the next WoW killer. So I know like every MMO that came out that was like directly competing with WoW, out of like being held at gunpoint and told to praise WoW about it.
Don't worry, guys. Runes of Magic is the WoW killer, okay?
Oh my god, the amount of people terrified of Rift coming. Because they thought Rift was gonna kill WoW. It's so funny to me.
Could I throw a random thing out there?
Yeah.
Can you throw a rift in the conversation?
Oh my god.
Yes, I actually did play Rift, and I thought it was good.
I don't think... the problem was, a lot of these games I never thought were going to be bad, but I always thought it was a gross exaggeration to say that it was going to single-handedly murder WoW.
I always hated that. I hated it. Why can't there be just another MMO out there? Like, I'm so tired of everything being, oh, this is this killer. This'll destroy it. No. How about you just play it and have a good time and stop being an idiot?
MMOs are unique when it comes to this kind of thing, I feel, because, oh, hey, I like guitars. Thanks for $5. I appreciate it, man. Because I feel an MMO, unlike almost any other game on the planet, except perhaps really, core competitive stuff, though even MMOs have that, is desperately reliant on their community. If people, a single player game, it can be out, and not many people are playing it, but anybody can always go back to it. But an MMO, if people stop playing it, it will be gone. Literally. Because they'll shut the servers off. And I think that's why people are always so worried about, oh, this game's going to kill this game's going to kill that when it comes to MMOs, because MMOs inherently require people to continually play them.
The issue with the whole WoW killer thing is that it's not an issue of, oh no, is it going to kill WoW? It's, yeah, this is going to kill WoW for sure. It's like, no, stop it.
I also remember when Final Fantasy XIV came out, it was like one of the only MMOs where like, when 2.0 came out, not 1. Because 1.0 was a giant travesty. But 2.0 came out, I remember specifically the forums being like, there's no way that this game will ever take over WoW. It's a joke and a laughing stock, and it's not gonna last one expansion. Underwalker just dropped, bro. I don't know how about you, but it's pretty popular.
And 5 expansions later.
And what I liked about Final Fantasy XIV is that, like, the problem was, I think the other problem, Josh, is that a lot of companies leaned into the WoW killer thing. They would come out and they would hype themselves up as the next big thing that was going to take over the MMO industry and be better than anything we've played before. And they would just, like, throw direct shots at WoW.
And that was a mistake.
And Final Fantasy XIV is probably the only game that I could think of that wasn't made by, like, WoW devs themselves. That were like, no, like, Yoshi P, the producer, basically, all but gunpoint, forced all of his developers to play WoW and take notes on what they did well before working on Final Fantasy XIV 2.0. Yoshi P is a huge WoW fan, like, goes to BlizzCon, like...
Yeah.
And so he made his whole dev team like take notes from the best and respect what they were competing against, not just think they were better than it. And I think that's one of the main core differences that makes Final Fantasy so good, because they figured out what worked. They made a Realm Reborn, and there was a lot of it was great, but it had a lot of flaws. And they were like, what stuff did we take from WoW that we know that we could do better, or we could just get rid of altogether for our own ideas? And slowly they started going into their own ideas and phasing out the WoW stuff that people didn't like, while keeping stuff like game balance refreshingly balanced compared to WoW. And suddenly they're so much better because, you know, like, they take the lore seriously. People love the lore in WoW, but it's an absolute mess. Final Fantasy XIV, they were like, we're not gonna put the lore in a bunch of random books that nobody reads. We're gonna have it in the game because that's a main criticism of WoW in the first place. People feel like half the classes in WoW is a joke, and if you play them, you're not gonna get into raid groups, and this is a real problem. So in Final Fantasy XIV, they do their best to make sure that every class is viable. It doesn't always work, but it's very close.
Yeah, like, I will say that about it, because, like, Addy, what was, you played, was it a Summoner before it got reworked?
Summoner, yeah.
Yeah, and, like, you always shared that you're sometimes out DPSing other classes.
Oh, that was a PvP, because they had PvP all the way back from, like, when they first launched 2.0, and it was terrible. And it was bad, and they realized we're having a hard time balancing it because every class has obviously so many spells, and like armor gets factored into it, and they're like, we have a solution. And this expansion, they dropped a giant PvP update, got rid of a bunch of the old maps, made a completely new game mode that is really fun, and they reworked every single class specifically for PvP, so every class only has like 5 abilities that all function very specifically in a PvP setting. And gear no longer factors into it. As long as you are level 30 or higher, you basically all get synced down to, like, base stats. So, like, every summoner is going to have the same exact stats. Nice. Every black mage is going to have the same exact stats. Like, gear, nothing to do with it. You can get gear from doing PvP, but it's all, like, for glamour and, like, transmog. It's not... There's nothing balance-worthy of getting the gear.
Strangely enough, and this is definitely wrong, but... it kind of reminds me of a general idea, you know, without the leveling. Like, like, the way it sounds like it's setting up for that kind of thing. They're trying to make it more akin to, like, more like, Smite or, Paladins, where it's... They're trying to make it a more balanced idea where you know exactly what you're getting into when you start a PvP match.
I mean, even League works that way.
Yeah, and the best part is the new game mode. Like, there's Frontlines and stuff, which is like you have a bunch of points and you play as one of the 3 grand companies and you run around. Like they have the really complicated big PvP modes, but those are more of like for fun, battle royale, like everybody just messing around. There's no ranked mode for it or anything.
No, it's funny. It sounds like they're trying to correct a problem that a lot of people have pointed out. That's been for years since I think COD 4 with Call of Duty, believe it or not. And a lot of games do this. Yeah, this was a big complaint. It was like the only complaint with Modern Warfare. And most people just kind of just let it go because get good. But the game rewards you for being good at the game, and as you play the multiplayer, you get more stuff.
Yeah.
But back then, it wasn't strictly cosmetic stuff. It was straight up better weapons. So not only are you good at the game because you were good from the get-go, but now you are outright better than the new players because you have better weapons.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, I see what they were going for because they want to reward good play. But longevity-wise, that's kind of BS to people who aren't playing for hours.
Me.
Yeah, like you. Like, you know, Halo doesn't do that. Halo, there's a bunch of unlocks, but they're all cosmetic stuff. You know, like any weapon you have is available in the game for anybody.
And even more so, the only Halo game to really go against that was Halo 4, with the ability to have loadouts.
Loadouts, but that's an option, you know? That's a choice.
It is a choice, but it is a choice that would give you an advantage. Starting with, like, a rocket launcher or something.
Yeah, I mean, true, but I don't think Infinite does that, do they?
I don't think
what
Infinite
does
does. So Halo 4 added loadouts, but I don't know if Halo 5 had it, never played multiplayer, but I do not think Halo Infinite multiplayer has loadouts.
There's no loadouts in Halo.
Yeah. Because like they kind of knew that the loadouts in Halo 4 was a really bad idea.
Yeah, it was one of the complaints because it just wasn't Halo.
Yeah.
You know, like Halo, you know, the classic Halo, everyone starts with, you know, a BR and a pistol, or an assault rifle and a pistol. Like, everyone has the same crap. You run around and you scavenge, and you get better stuff. But, like...
I thought everyone started off with a battle rifle and a mini sniper rifle.
Well, yes, but... Shut up, King.
Dude, do not underestimate the power of the frickin'
I do not. That thing was ridiculous.
It really was.
Also, you have now enticed me at 3 o'clock in the morning to play Final Fantasy XIV PvP. Thank you.
You're welcome. I still need to get the new Guild Wars 2 expansion.
Same. And also, Addy, do you know what that means?
What?
It means you have to download Guild Wars 2 again. I'm so sorry.
Absolutely not. That is not happening over my literal dead body.
And you have to play PvP in Guild Wars 2.
Hey, I played PvP in Guild Wars 2.
I do want to bring up Guild Wars 2 for a minute because it is something I've really wanted to talk about just one of the things that's always bothered me about MMORPGs. For most MMOs that I've played or seen or looked into, World of Warcraft, FF14, anything like that, those kinds of things, I've never enjoyed how, for my brain, how bloated the skill list tends to get. You have, like, 30 different hotbars with 10 skills each. It just gets a little much.
To be fair...
To try and...
Guild Wars 2 doesn't have 30 different hotbars.
No, it doesn't. I was getting to that. So, like, it's something that's super overwhelming for, new players, which is sometimes not a problem, but even for non-new players, for me, just a lot of information is ridiculously hard to process. So trying to keep all of those skills straight is so difficult. My favorite thing about Guild Wars 2 is the fact that you have, like, 10 skills. That's it. You've got those 10 skills on your hotbar, and that's your entire moveset for the game until you switch it up with, like, a specialization later down the road, or...
There are some customizable options, but it's not... You're right, the bloat isn't there, because there's a lot of... Like in Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Yeah.
There's again there's those 30 different freaking hotbars option, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, on all my characters, I only use one. The vast majority of the spells that are available to me are completely worthless anyway. Why would I need this many?
Yeah, exactly. Like, It's a lot, and what's also frustrating too, is for someone who's it's very hard for people to explain and or declutter it for me. Like
Don't
if I
look at my
could
UI.
get, huh?
Don't look at my UI.
Do not look at her unyielding madness.
I did fix it up by I reduced the size of all of them by to 60% size compared to like normal.
Well, now he can't see it.
Yeah,
That's another problem. Nothing about this is helpful to Kane.
No, that is that. I was just about to say, but that is a problem for most people. The thing is, I don't really look at my UI. I just kind of need it there just in case I need to look down at cooldowns. But for the most part, I have my rotation down by memory with my macro.
No wonder you two frickin' argue all the time. You have polar opposite ways you play these games.
Yeah.
Kane wants everything maxed out and with the minimal amount of spells possible, and you're like, I need all the spells and as small as possible.
I have 2 hotbars that are just dedicated. One of them is to all of my crafting macros. One of them is to all of my gear changes. I have a bunch of emotes for RP setup.
She's an absolute maniac.
I'm literally streaming in the chat Final Fantasy XIV. My UI is a mess compared to most people.
By the way, I made you a mod in my YouTube, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
In case it ever comes up where you're there.
I was gonna jokingly say I'm gonna start cursing, but
No, you're not.
I'm not do that.
But like, I just kind of wish that there would be more MMOs that at least took that idea from Guild Wars 2 and for games that allowed you to play a lot more simple.
A lot of MMOs just don't work like Guild Wars 2 in general. Like, Guild Wars 2 feels so distinctive compared to everything else around it.
Yeah, it really does. It's definitely been one of the things that's made it more accessible for me. And probably why Addy can't get into it, right? Like, it's really different.
I mean, that's why I like it so much, because, like, only like Star Wars The Old Republic because it's Star Wars. If it was anything else, it would just be another WoW clone.
Yep.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm dancing on a tower on top of a jumping puzzle that took me 3 days to make.
Well, I mean, The Old Republic does have great story elements. I'll give it that.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I like the community of 15. It's not 15, 14. It's different from a lot of other MMOs I've been in, including WoW. Like there's a toxic positivity problem where people are, a little bit too nice. The fact that that they're saying like, wow, you are so good. It's almost like you're smarter than a toddler. It's the opposite problem of WoW. But honestly, I prefer that over like death threats in WoW.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I got a question from the stream. This is an Aegis vape. It's my local blend. This is watermelon, grape, and menthol. Is what flavor it is.
But yeah, I do think it's true, Addy, to also bring that up for FF14. It is the least WoW clone I've ever seen, because in terms of its base gameplay, it really is such a progression and an evolution of what World of Warcraft really started for everything. But the way that its story quests work, the way that they're not raids, they're just like the party battles that you have to do.
Trials is basically raids, but it's one boss instead of several bosses and a bunch of trash in between, which I prefer because instead of having one raid have like 8 bosses, they essentially have a raid tier, which all it's a bunch of one boss instances that are all a part of one tier that you do like a 1-by-1.
Yeah. But it's something that like the way that it comes together, it's okay. So everyone says that Guild Wars 2 is a better game than Guild Wars 1. And while to a point, I agree
That
with
is
that.
that is very correct, but go on.
Guild Wars 1 is not what everyone thinks it is. And I think that it's kind of fair to say that about Final Fantasy XIV as well. Because FF14 kind of works a lot like a single-player MMO when you're able to go through all the content and just have a good time with it. It's very possible to solo FF14. It might not be the most recommended thing, but it's set up a lot closer to what a normal Final Fantasy game would be set up with for story progression.
Every major patch for Final Fantasy XIV of Endwalker is done with the goal of they're going back an expansion each major patch and making it completely soloable all of the dungeon. Because they're adding the trust system from Endwalker to all of it. So you'll be able to run a whole entire dungeon with NPCs instead of having to queue up for people. Which I use a lot because a lot of the times I progress through MSQ is at like 3 o'clock in the morning, where I have 17-minute queue times because people are not loading into some random old dungeon.
Yeah,
At 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I'll just and you can and because I'm an Endwalker, I can just pick the people that I want to come with me. I could pick like I want this NPC to come with me. Let's have a good time.
Yeah.
And then I could solo the whole entire thing. And they're planning on adding that for everything, and then after they do that for all the dungeons, they're then planning on adding it to all the trials. So the game will be completely soloable.
Yeah. So to go back to Guild Wars 1 for a second, I do want to mention this one, is that everyone back in the day was very much, oh wow, it's the World of Warcraft for people who don't have money. And it's like, okay, this is not an MMORPG. Guild Wars 1 is one of the last of its kind, essentially being an online RPG.
Yeah, it's only in the loosest of sense an MMO.
And to be perfectly real with you, I love the crap out of it for that. I will happily start up Guild Wars 1 and just have a random old time in it. Like, it's really old, but it's so nice to be able to just go into an online game and group up with a couple of friends who are there to play, and then you just go.
Duck and I once tried to sit down and play Guild Wars 1. I was upset because I couldn't get into it, to be honest. I felt really bad because, you know, it resulted in Guild Wars 2, and I love that game. It's just, for me, it's aged so poorly from a gameplay perspective. I see your point, Kane, and I see why you think that would be an advantage, and that wasn't the issue for me at all. It was just the actual game it's dated, it's old, and, you know...
It is very old.
It's very old!
I will say, to defend Guild Wars 1, I will say this. It came out in 2002? No. 2005. Guild Wars 1... release date. Let me just get this specifically. 2005. It came out in 05, and legit, I think that the graphics have actually aged pretty well, specifically in the environments. If you pump up Guild Wars 1 to max settings, I think it looks pretty good.
For its day, it looks pretty good.
I still think it looks pretty good.
The character models make me seethe, Kane.
The character models, yes, but the environments look great.
The environments are fun.
I've never seen a lick of Guild Wars 1.
It's very old.
I remember when Guild Wars 1 came out, and like my dad was like vaguely interested at one point, I think, but I don't remember him ever getting into it. I have very weird recollections of what was out at the time. I actually went digging through my dad's stuff, and I found a copy of Shadowbane. It is old stuff. I don't even. It's an Ubisoft game. I don't even know what it is, but it was in its MMO box. So I think it might be an MMO. But no, like Guild Wars was not one of the ones that my dad ended up picking up after looking through all of them.
No way! No way!
What?
Okay, so Shadowbane, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, it's still going.
No.
Yeah, it's on Steam for $11.
No! I have a physical copy. This box is like like you know how when you would buy MMOs in like stores and they were in like the VHS boxes, like it is the best way I could describe them.
Oh, yeah, I have some of them.
I have it like literally right now. I also have the box for which EverQuest expansion? EverQuest Lost Dungeons of Nora. I have that one too.
Nice.
I don't even.
I bought a physical copy of Heart of Thorns.
Oh wow, nice.
It was such a bad investment because I bought Path of Fire not like a week later, which came with a free copy of Heart of Thorns.
Oops.
I was sad, but I was also like, you know what? I like Guild Wars 2 enough that it's good to have that physical copy.
I still want to invest in all of the physical copies of 14.
Oh yeah, 14. Yeah, definitely.
But like, I mean, most of them don't even work because, especially the PS3 copies, don't work. I don't think.
It was so funny to me because it was like a year or two after the all of the
I
PS3
forgot it got a PS3 version.
Oh, it works on PS4 and PS5 to this day.
Yep. But not
And
PS3.
on PC, you can plug in a PS4 5 controller and literally change the controller setting, and it's completely functional. Like there's actually like controller players on PC because they prefer it.
Yeah, totally. I really would like more.
You can't play with a controller on PC. You're supposed to use the keyboard. It's way better optimized.
No, that's the funny part. It's like, other than Astrologian, because Astrologian plays very weirdly, every single class works nigh perfect on controller, so it's quite literally just personal preference.
Totally. But speaking on that note, as a side thing, definitely the biggest reason why I was so sad about my reactions to PSO2 is because it is a game that absolutely does what I desperately want, like, modern MMO action games to do. Be perfectly playable on a controller, because, okay, Addie, you play Genshin on a keyboard and mouse, right?
I do.
I can't. I will never.
Understandable.
Ever.
I mean,
Games like that, for me, controller only.
listen, it plays really weird on PC. It's just, I want you to understand that I have such limited experience using a controller on things that are like not a platformer.
Yeah.
That it just doesn't work with my brain most of the time. Like, I'd rather learn their backwards keyboard method than ever try a controller, because I will literally use a controller like a baby calf trying to walk.
I understand that because I grew up completely on controllers, so I'm the
Same.
opposite, generally speaking.
Like, I played like Sonic with a controller. I played like Kirby Air Ride. I don't know. Final Fantasy, like turn-based games on a controller. That's like about it. Like I like, my first shooter was Overwatch on PC. I had never played a shooter before that. Like
I'm sorry.
Technically, my first shooter was Halo, but I played Halo 3 and I played an hour of Halo 3 and then never played it again.
Yep.
So that doesn't really count.
Well, that's shameful, and I'm disappointed in you.
It is shame. Like, I like Halo now. Like, I just got into Halo very recently. But I had
more like, hey, no.
Oh my.
Shut up, Kane.
I was really not into shooters. Shooters were not my thing. Okay, like, I don't know what it was about them, but I was like not into. And then I got into Overwatch because I liked WoW and I liked Blizzard as a company, and I saw Tracer.
You fool!
I know. I listen. I got to plat in Overwatch. It was a good time. And then I started playing Valorant, and I'm still bad at that game. I started playing CS:GO a tiny bit, and then I realized it was a bad idea and uninstalled. And then I played Halo Infinite, and I got to Plat 5 within the first 2 weeks of the game coming out. And then I stopped because there was no real anti-cheat in the game. I just got nothing but wall hackers for like 2 months straight.
Have you tried getting better at it?
Yeah, I tried wall hacking better than the wall hackers. I didn't try that, no. It was bad. It was really sucky because I had gotten to Plat 5. All my friends got to Diamond. So I would play with them, and I'd be going against Diamond 5s and higher, like as a Plat 5, and I was able to most of the time hold my own completely fine, and I was like going up crazy in like my rank. And then the problem was that around Diamond 5 was when was where the cheaters were kind of hanging out, because obviously they boosted their way up there immediately after the game came out. So when I started playing by myself, because my friends got busy, I was playing as a Plat 5 in Diamond 5 lobbies with nothing but like wall hackers and like people who are purposely raising their ping to get you through walls and get you through corners. And it was impossible to play, like virtually impossible.
That's gross.
Maybe with that attitude.
And like most of my friends grinded their way up to like the highest rank you could get and then just like dropped the game because they got bored because it took 6 months for them to drop like a new helmet skin.
Yeah, the customization of Halo Infinite. That's definitely not the meaning of the word infinite, guys.
Better than it has been.
I will never get over the garbage customization in Halo Infinite.
It's better than it has been, Kane!
What?
It's better than it has been.
We're about to get another person coming up here.
I don't know, the last 5 mainline Halo games beg to differ on that one.
Or are we talking about the Elite thing?
No, I'm talking about just actual customization. Like,
Have you tried getting better at customizing?
you know what? The last 6 mainline Halo games, actually, because I forgot Reach. Like, all of those games had better customization. Like, especially at the base. You could at least pick your color. You didn't have to pay to change your color.
They're also charging you for customization that you could get, like that you had in previous Halo games for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the game itself is free, though.
Yeah, and you could still
I mean, yeah,
offer...
but they charged you for like base blue.
Yeah, like the
That was
fact
like a base level. That was like a baseline customized color for every like Halo release, basically. And it wasn't even a crazy design. Like, it wasn't a crazy design. It wasn't a cool design. It wasn't like I've bought stuff from Halo Infinite Store. Full transparency. I've bought a decent amount of stuff. I bought the cat ears because everybody was mad about those, and I thought they were really funny.
They were pretty funny.
To this day, I walk around in them. They're like, I can't believe e-girls are in my game, and then I just be like, okay, yeah, whatever. I bought, like, they had this really cool, like, Miami Heat bundle, which was, like, a bunch of, like, pink, blue, and like, neon-themed, like, weapon skins. They had, like, a armor skin, hat, and then also had, all the vehicle skins. I bought that whole thing.
Have you... But, hear me out a second. Hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried getting better at customizing?
I'm literally just gonna...
My ultimate issue with this, Josh, and we've had the same conversation about League of Legends, is
here we go.
There is, in my opinion, a base level that you should be able to do no matter what. I am not against unlockable content. I'm not against premium content. I'm not against shop content. But when you're making me buy the color blue, you are a terrible person.
It's a very nice shade of blue.
And it's a shade of blue that I could literally start up Halo Reach and put on for free. There's even a mod. There's even a mod called Halo Reach. Oh god, what was it called again? Like Halo Reach Fall of Infinity that just makes Halo Reach play like Infinite.
That's why the Tsar has entrusted you with this project.
It's colors. We're not asking for like all these different premium things for free. We're asking for like 2 to 3 different helmets, 2 to 3 different pieces of armor.
And they can just be basic default design.
Yeah, just basic default stuff. Oh, but we could customize our AI. You mean that thing that doesn't fucking matter. Great job, Infinite. Cool. I can customize my UI. I can customize my AI.
Wow.
Like,
You're really mad.
it's pathetic. It's so low effort in terms of the customization options that it makes Halo 2 look like Donkey Kong 64. And I just think that's sad. Because being free to play, I don't think justifies abusing people's wallets.
I agree. I would also like to just add that everybody was upset because the cat ears were $10, and I have to add two things.
Still on
One,
about the freaking cat
one,
ears.
was $10 probably too much for cat ears? Yes. Was it absolutely worth it? Completely. Do it again.
I wish I would have bought the cat ears.
They're the ultimate BM item because people just get so raging mad that you might either be a furry or a woman.
I know. And it's like,
Your implication of your existence is disgusting. Cut. I'm like, okay, buddy.
it's so funny. Like, why are you people so mad at this? Like, Jesus.
They weren't mad. They were mad that it was $10 for a customization to your helmet that is like really minimal. They weren't mad that it clipped on a bunch of the helmets and didn't even sit on them properly. No, they were mad because the e-girls.
They're mad because they're cat ears.
Yeah, it's so.
it.
Maybe if you want cat ears, go buy yourself some stupid Razor Krakens and play Animal Crossing. So come on, man. It's alright. It's fine. Everything's fine. The world is not falling apart because cat
But I
ears.
already do play Animal Crossing. Oh.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah, exactly.
Hey, Addy, to add to that, implying I didn't already do that the day they released.
Oh yeah, true. I only ended up not getting the Razer Krakens because I heard that the audio quality wasn't great, and I was trying to look for headphones that also had decent audio because I like listening to music a lot.
Bluetooth. Here's the thing with the Razer Kraken headset. If you're using them as headphones, they sound fine. If you're using it as a headset, it sounds like crap.
I don't know. I think I'm happy with my purchase decision of getting the G733, the Logitech headset.
Bluetooth.
I know a lot of people make fun of the stupid RGB on the sides, but like I think that even with the RGB being kind of silly, they're really good headphones. So
Bluetooth is still 2 to 3 versions away from being useful. Like that's my honest opinion on Bluetooth. As much as I like it, it's just it needs 2 to 3 more versions until it has enough data capacity to actually run a decent microphone and headphones at the same time.
well, headphones like that's the silly part for me because I bought a headset not needing the mic part because I have a Yeti.
Yeah.
So I was looking for headsets not for the mic quality, but just for the headphone quality, which a lot of people were like, why don't you just buy Sennheisers or whatever? And I went, yes, but I also raise you, I can't buy Sennheisers in pink, can I?
Exactly.
So, sorry, they were an option that didn't look pretty. It was literally my only requirement, was that I wanted them to look nice, sound okay.
I mean,
so,
I totally understand that. I have literally repurchased video games in my collection for the expressed reason that it has like the black label for PS2 or not the greatest hits version on GameCube.
Kane, I want you to know that ever since you pointed it out to me, I can't buy greatest hits games anymore because it bothers me. It's all your fault. I
You're
literally
welcome.
didn't care until you pointed it out.
What have you done, Kane? She was
Well,
having a good time, and you just had to go and ruin it.
yep. By the way, Jack, I wanted to share something with you. I learned something new about Jak 2 the other day.
Oh God!
Did
I want you to
did
think very carefully before you tell me this.
It's cool, I promise you.
Okay.
Did you know that in the original Black Label version of Jak 2, if you pull out the sleeve, there's a map of Haven City printed inside the sleeve?
Yes! Yes, I tell you why I know this. I was in the habit, when I was younger, of taking out the manuals and the sleeves of every game I owned, because sometimes they would sneak in, like, posters.
Yes!
And I wanted the posters.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think Jak 2... I got a Jak 2 poster somehow. That may have come with the pre-order. I don't remember.
Maybe.
But yes, I was aware of that because I found it that way.
That's awesome. I didn't know about that. All these years, I had no idea. That was such a cool discovery. But yeah, like, I do that all the time, so I totally understand with the aesthetic. I have literally purchased 3 copies of things sometimes just to mix and match all the pieces to make mine look the best. I'm out of control. But yeah, it's hilarious for how angry people get about stuff like that. Still there,
You wearing cat ears?
Yeah.
What are you, some
Alright.
kind of girl? You know, the funny thing is that the same people that complain about e-girls are the people that follow their OnlyFans. So I mean, I'm just saying. Nobody?
Sorry, I'm distracted for a second.
Fine. Screw you guys too.
Please repeat. Like, I literally, it's almost 4 a.m. I'm like literally half asleep. I'm so sorry.
Possible routes suggest themselves for the line. You have the final say.
So Josh,
We're getting
Tell us
silent
again.
treatments.
The way it should be. All that has to be done now
Tell
is
us again.
have everything brought to the construction.
I'm out. I'm not saying it again.
aww.
I already had to say it once. Why should I have to say it again? Just to make you two happy.
Yes, to make up, so that we may respond to you properly. My response to you, Josh? Sonic 06. That's
Final
the correct
Fantasy.
answer, right?
The Final Fantasy community deserves to be thrown out sometimes. I'm looking at Twitter and I'm just.
Well,
disbelieved.
okay. That was your first mistake. Following that, why do they need to be thrown out?
Okay, so this time it's actually not a controversial bad reason, but it is a reason all the same. So they released a promotional art of Clea and Albedo, which are 2 characters in the game, as a thank you post for getting them 14 million followers on BB or something, which is a Chinese platform for people to play the Chinese version of Genshin Impact.
Uh-huh.
The artist, so he wears boots that go up to his knees, and then he wears shorts, and then he has leggings underneath, so it's all black, right?
Right.
The artist, we don't know if they missed a layer. They forgot to add the legging. So there's a 0.3 centimeter amount of skin showing. The Genshin fandom has trended Albedo thighs and made fan cam zooming into the thigh cam. And a fan art that's literally just character studies of Albedo, but thigh. I was just guys, they just announced the whole new region. They dropped a bunch of lore trailers, and everybody's screw through Sumeru. Albedo thighs are where it's at right now, okay? That's what we need to talk about.
10 out of 10.
And I'm just I don't know why I'm surprised. It's all some very funny memes, but I just find it funny that the world is so terrible, and then stuff like that happens, and it just reminds you that at the end of the day, we're all just idiots on a computer screen, aren't we?
All of us? I'm pretty sure it's just everybody but me.
Yeah, totally. That's how that works.
That's how it works in my mind. But you know what I'm like, so...
Hold on, I'm listening.
Excellent. The first leg has been completed. Tsar Nicholas is extremely pleased. But the terrain is treacherous. Muddy quagmire in the summer, frozen solid in winter. Thanks to stable steel structures, the tracks are luckily going to stay right where they are. Nothing happens without materials. Make sure that they are ready and waiting by the time the next leg is to be completed.
By the way, I think I've probably mentioned this before, but I'm just gonna hop right back over to Guild Wars 1 for a second. ArenaNet has talked about so people have asked ArenaNet and basically they're like, hey, so with Guild Wars 2 being so successful, are you gonna shut down Guild Wars 1? And do you know what ArenaNet's answer was?
Is eager to shoot a bear.
No, right?
No. Oh, to be honest with you guys, the amount of money that we pay to keep the game running is so minimal. Like, we will happily keep the servers open for as long as people are playing it.
ArenaNet is a really good company.
They really are. Okay. I think it's great, Addy, because there's no real argument between both of our MMOs of choice here, because both MMOs are great MMOs made by great people doing great things for their community all the time. Like, it's so cool that these two MMOs are right next to each other in terms of just being awesome. Like, that's so freaking good.
Like, I don't have any problem with... I feel like the idea of having only one MMO that's good and all the other MMOs are not as good and you can't play them as
This
silly.
is trash compared to the MMO I play.
Like, I don't like Guild Wars 2, but I don't think it's a bad game. I just think it's really not meant for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Fine.
Absolutely.
Like,
It's not fine. How dare you? You're supposed to love it.
Like, I've played it, and I can see why people like it, but there's something about it. And, like, that's, like, people
Hold on. This is very important to me. It's very important to me. Addy,
Yeah?
have you considered getting better at the game?
I'm literally gonna block you.
But it's gonna be so much worse, Josh. She's not just gonna block you on FF14. She's gonna re-download Guild Wars 2 and block you on Guild Wars 2 as well.
That would be the ultimate spite, though. That would actually I would be more impressed if she did that. Like, I wouldn't even be mad. I'd be like, wow, she went the extra mile just to throw shade at me, and you know what? I'm okay with that.
That cuts deep, kid. But I respect that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess, Addy, more or less what I'm saying about that though is you hear so much about a lot of MMOs that go through so much bad management. Like, we were just talking about WildStar, you know? Like, we hear so much about MMOs shutting down 2 or 3 years after launch. We hear bad management, bad all this kind of stuff. But two of the biggest MMOs in the world are run by awesome people, and it's nice to know that good games run by good people are doing good. You know, like, it's so nice.
I think it's also fun to think about that, like, for me anyway, I always have like a core MMO I always go back to, but I'm always trying new MMOs whenever they come out, for the most part. I say the most part because I felt like I had to say the most part because I'm gonna get the inevitable, oh, so did you try New World comment? I'm gonna say no, because I smelled that being terrible from a mile away. But most MMOs that show promise, as long as there's not a steep paywall, I will try them out. And I feel like, at least back in like 2016, I had probably played every MMO on Steam. I'm like pretty confident that I can say that, because I went through like 100 MMOs.
Did you play Digimon Online?
That was like one of the only ones I
See, you didn't play it. You didn't do it. You didn't do it. You can't claim that.
So
You go download Digimon Online and play it right now.
I played like 95%. How about that? Because I saw the Digimon one, and I knew, because at the time I didn't know anything about Digimon, nor did I care. So I'm pretty sure I just skipped over it because I was like, I don't like Digimon. I'm not going to spend time on something.
I still think it's really cute that you can't pronounce Digimon right.
Can I not pronounce Digimon right? Am I saying it weird?
You say Digimon. Kane, it's not just me, right?
I also say Goaz, because I can't say it normally, so like it might just be an accent.
I mean, I get yelled at for mispronouncing things all the time. I'm not throwing shade. I just think it's adorable. Go on.
I can normally speak totally fine, but there's like very specific words that I just will never be able to pronounce if people get really jarred, because I'll be speaking in a random like a normal sentence, and I'll say, I need some books in Boston, and they're like, what just happened? And I'm like, sorry, I can't say the B and the O sound together. It's impossible. Like, I literally just default to like that, or I'll say Goaz, and people are like, it's what is it?
Material is constantly disappearing.
Gauze? I don't. I think is how it's supposed to be said. But I just say Goaz because I it's unnatural to say it the other way.
Cool. What are you trying to say?
I'll type it in
Only way
here.
it can be appeased is with offerings of precious jewels. The gemstones are supposed to be found on the steepest slope to the southwest.
Like the medical thing you use.
Gauze!
Yeah.
You've been trying to say gauze this whole...
I can't
Gauze?
say
What the hell is
I
gauze?
can't say that word. See, it happens to a lesser extent with other words, but I can force myself to say it the normal way, like pause. I can kind of say normally.
Listen, Addie, I will say that, yes, I do understand that Josh, I agree with Josh, it does sound like you're saying Digimon, but here's my thing. As long as you're not saying Digimans, I don't care.
Yeah.
Listen, here's the thing, it just occurred to me that every time I've ever heard it, it's been Digimon.
Yep.
But I've never said it that. I never noticed that until right now when Josh pointed out.
I've never really bothered trying to correct it because it's like the fact that I got you into Digimon is already just the biggest achievement of happiness for me. Okay. I literally
Kane had to try to get me into that for like a year, and I finally said yes, and then I yelled at him when I was like at episode 40 of the show because I had just binged like 90% of it and forgot to tell him.
Yeah, it was so awesome. I was so happy.
And then I immediately binged Adventure 2, and then I did Tamers.
Yep.
And then I did the Try movies, which people say they're bad. I still think they're some of my favorite anime like movies I've seen like ever.
Or Try.
I love them so much, and I get nothing but crap for it.
I love them. You will never get crap from me from it because those movies are amazing and I love them.
I briefly became an American Whistle. No, I'm just listen, man. I'm not anything crazy. I'm from New York, so some words just come out Boston. They just come out that way. It's. I've tried my hardest to make myself not have that accent, but it's like there's certain syllables that I just physically can't say. There's a reason why I never say those words. Like I wrote them out of my dictionary because I was like, I can't say them normally, and people are just gonna point it out and be weird about it. So I just stopped saying them.
Yeah, I feel that.
I'll go with the Yorkies. Dude, I'm from New York. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
She is originally from New York, so I mean...
Like, literally first 15 years of my life was there, so that's why I have random accent. I mean, I was from Yonkers. Wow,
I mean...
that came out. What is wrong with my voice today? Why did that come out that way?
I mean, sometimes I pronounce things funny too. I'm from West Virginia, alright? Things get a little complicated when you're from the southern part of the United States. Also, we don't like to say we're from the South, because we switch sides during that conflict, because fuck them. Okay? That's where we were at. That's what happened. That's how we became a state. Virginia was like, we're seceding, and the mountain men are gonna join us. And we were like, we are not. Yes, you are. No, we're not. Well, we're gonna march our armies through your mountains. Oh, no, you're not. Because they tried, and that didn't go well.
Man, they really made a mountain out of a molehill.
Listen, do not try to go through a hillbilly's territory uninvited. Don't do it.
I mean, I had no plans to do that unless we were playing a horror game, and even then, I'd probably try and avoid it.
I love telling people that I'm from Yonkers, New York, because I always get the question of, oh, why is it named that? And I get to tell them Yankee Doodle wants a town, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. It's because he was calling me a Yorkie, and I was just like, I am the most Yorkie Yorker Yankee Doodle you will ever meet. Because I'm literally from Yonkers. Like, I don't know how close, unless there's a town named Yankee, that is the closest you are ever gonna get. I don't know. Actually, I never bothered to wonder why.
You didn't have to take a New York history class when you were in school?
I mean, I did, but I learned about the Hudson River, and I learned about the 13 colonies.
You learned the Hudson River is made of poison, and about the colonies, which has nothing to do with... Really?
I learned about the 5 Great Lakes. Also, my town literally borders on the Hudson River. So yeah, we learned about the Hudson River.
Well, okay, I see why you would, but I don't see what it has to do with the state's history.
Addy was just going with the flow.
Shut up, Kane.
I'm sure we learned a lot about the state's history, and I'm sure I just really didn't care enough to remember most of it, to be honest with you.
Shame. Shun the non-historian.
Like,
shame.
If you ask me a specific question, I might like have my memory jogged. But
you
I
have been shamed.
Off the top of my head.
This council decrees that you are made of shame.
Oh, somebody claimed the land. And he was known as the Jonker, which is where Yonkers is derived.
Addy, do you know Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
Never seen it.
See, this is what I'm talking about. These damn kids, man.
I rewatched it recently, and all I could think of is, wow, the first half an hour is really good. And then the rest happens.
I explained that. Did I not explain that to you?
You did. You did.
I looked it up. Well, there is some history that I know about that did come up to mind immediately, which is the fact that we are like the most Manhattan, non-Manhattan town you could ever have. So technically, like, we're directly attached to Manhattan. We are not Manhattan because they had reached out to us and been like, hey, do you want to, like, join us and all be Manhattan? And we said
Never!
and most places said yes. We said no. And honestly, we could have used the money because, man, is that town poverty infused. But yeah, no, we are like, when talking about Yonkers, most people will refer to it as like Manhattan because it basically kind of is, but also is kind of not. It's very confusing.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I mean, we're talking about Yorkies. The name York is English.
Yeah.
So like, there's the Duke of York.
Yeah, and then I looked up other stuff, and like 90% of our history, is either like getting parts of our town claimed by other places, like the Bronx, or a lot of our history is like we were like a farming town before anything else, and then also, we were involved in a lot of the war stuff. We did a lot of things.
Well,
So a lot of our
you had a harbor.
history,
I know New York Harbor used to be a major Navy hub. In fact, the New York Harbor actually repaired a lot of the British Royal Navy's ships too. We refit some of their battleships there. Fun fact. And the Liberty ships mostly went out of there when we were supplying the UK before we officially entered the war. Sorry, I got distracted.
we have 2 railroad lines according to the Wikipedia page called the Harlem and the Hudson lines.
You need more.
I never knew them by name.
New York's that's former New York Central territory. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I know about the Hudson line actually. I was called the Metro North, which is like the colloquial.
I mean, New York Central's most famous steam locomotive were literally called the Hudsons.
Yeah, that is the one that I always rode whenever I went to New York City. Now that I'm looking at pictures of it, the other one I don't recognize. Yeah, it goes from Bronx to Westchester, and sometimes Western Massachusetts is the other one, which is why I wouldn't know about it. It's very hilly.
Thank you for that.
I bring that up because for a New York town, man, is it annoying to travel because everything is up a giant hill.
Eddie, I'm from West Virginia.
I don't know West Virginia.
You know nothing of hills.
I mean, to be fair to Addy here, not living in a state would mean you wouldn't know a lot about it. It is a pretty big uphill battle.
And that is when you know it is time possibly go.
Yeah, I'm getting off as soon as I'm done with this mission.
Yeah, I have a meeting at 9, and this was a bad decision, but I had fun anyway.
Go to bed, young lady.
We talked a lot about MMOs.
I've just been literally chilling because there's a bunch of people hanging out right now. They released a new jumping puzzle, I mentioned this, recently for the summer event. And so a bunch of us are just chilling up at the top, encouraging the people who are still climbing it to not give up.
Jump, cowards!
It's done.
It's a really hard jumping puzzle. I literally was losing my mind halfway through it.
For waging war, get to the Eastern Front.
By the way, Addy, did you see the Breath of the Wild video I posted?
Oh no, I didn't. Did you post it somewhere?
Money Train.
Let me see. Oh, dear kitty. Could you stop, please?
Never.
Hi. Also, I don't know if I mentioned to you, Josh, but I bought a new office chair today, and my back no longer is suffering.
Well, that's
Hooray!
good. My girlfriend got me a new chair for my birthday, and it's magnificent.
Awesome.
A Herman Miller or like a regular office chair that is not your wallet and a half.
It was on sale at Walmart.
Oh,
I don't know if it actually has the name on it or something. Let me look.
I got a chair from.
It has an X logo on it, if that helps.
Is it a gaming chair?
X Rocker, it says. Yeah, it's technically a gaming chair.
Oh, okay. I got
I mean, hey, if it's comfortable, that's what matters.
That's where I'm at with it.
I got this chair from Amazon. It was a recommendation from a friend who also worked from home and knew that I was in a lot of pain and was like, I recommend this chair because I bought it. And it's really nice. I was using a gaming chair, but it was one of those gaming chairs that were like very budget gaming chair, and it murdered my back after like a year, and I had it for another 3 years after that, which was a terrible idea, but I didn't want to spend money.
Understandable.
I was able to get this chair for $140 with tax and shipping, so that was nice. Go Amazon.
Woo! I brought back the chairs from my grandpa's house, so I have those here now.
It's also really funny because this chair is like twice as small as my old chair. So I'm like in the same spot that I was in my old chair in, and I'm more comfortable, but I'm also taking up just way less space.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Totally.
Well, Cordaja, I'm not gonna bash my X-Rocker. I mean, if you had a bad experience, that's, bad, but my argument here is this. A, this is working well for me. B, I was using the cheapest, most horrible, old piece of junk office chair you can possibly imagine before this thing. Anything was better.
There's a really funny clip by Josh Stride Hayes that someone asked him about his gaming chair, and it is a wonderful clip that I am going to send you guys because it's so funny hearing him talk about it.
Also, I'm sure different chairs wear out on different people at different points in time. I'm one of those people that I literally shift in my chair every 5 seconds and distribute my weight very unevenly, and also it just I stress test anything that I sit on. So I had to get something that I knew was not gonna break on me or be uncomfortable after a week or two. And I'm hoping I don't regret this chair, because if I do, I'm gonna cry, because I'm not gonna spend another $130 on a chair for at least another year.
Yeah.
I wanted to get a Herman Miller, but those things even used are like $400. Which, understandable, they're very good, but man, my wallet. There's a reason why I moved into my own apartment and I still don't have a couch. People are expecting $2K for that.
Come on, if Animal Crossing has taught us anything, you can easily build a couch out of cardboard.
No. Absolutely not. My original setup was a gaming chair that has been broken for so long that it literally was painful to sit on, and a fold-out plastic garden table. This year, I had already invested in a sit-stand desk and an actual office chair. I spent $500 on those two things alone. I don't want to spend more money on it if I am not being held at gunpoint too.
Yeah. I'm in that same boat. I've never been concerned about it because I have a cushion on most of my on both my old chair and now my new chair. I just moved it over because we're getting rid of my old chair, but I used that old chair for a decade, and I used it so much, loved it so much, wore out all of the padding on the seat, so now it's time for it to go. But I just took that cushion and put it on my new chair. I don't even care that the new one isn't even that worn out. I like the cushion. It's cushiony. I don't know how else to describe that.
As long as it's cushiony, as long as it's comfortable, you do you. I love this chair, and I've had it for 2 days because it is the first time in forever that I have actually not had bad posture because my chair is not supporting my back at all.
Yeah.
That's a miracle, because I have bad posture, just complete transparency. That might be embarrassing to some people, but no, it's just like I don't have good posture.
Same.
So trying to fix that is hard when you have a chair that is just torture.
Yeah, exactly. It's not exactly an easy thing to deal with. But yeah, I'm very excited for that video I put in Money Train. I really cannot wait for that to be finished.
What
I'm
video?
Quite excited. It's a video talking about the Breath of the Wild multiplayer mod.
It's the dawning of the 20th century. The major powers of Europe.
It's a full session between 4 people, and it's freaking awesome.
Hold that thought. Alright guys, I'm gonna take off because it is way too late for me to be up. And by late I mean early. And by early I mean 5 a.m. And by take off I mean go for sleepy time. Yeah, this game is called Transport Fever 2. It's really good. And would I come to Europe and the UK anytime to do various history things? I don't know. If I become a startling success, maybe. But right now, I make barely enough to afford my rent. So, we'll see what the future beholds. Perhaps Kane will start pulling his weight.
Or maybe Silver will come and save the day.
For the future.
No!